It's funny because I feel like a lot of the people who really relate to my comedy are people who are also like neurodivergent and kind of anxious. Like that's how I know when one of my fans is at a show is because they'll be kind of nervous to come up to me afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
They kind of be like, "Oh, I'm really like sorry. Can I get like a get the merch or like a photo or whatever?"
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
And they're like, this is
for
so
sure.
stupid.
And like
This
I
is
really
like,
feel for it because I mean when I'm like on stage and in my element, I'm very I don't know if necessarily I come off as super comfortable because some of the things some people say to me afterwards.
Wait, well, like what people say to you, like you come off as nervous? Or
Somebody came up to me after a show a few months ago, and it was like a big fan. She said, like, followed me on Instagram, all this stuff, and she goes, "I had to come see you. I love your stuff. I'm also super awkward and uncomfortable in my own skin." That was the actual phrase she said to me.
And she was like, thank you for being a role model for me.
She was like, this is representation matters. Yeah. So, and I appreciate her. I appreciate her still. But again, it's like sometimes people will say stuff to you. And that's the thing. And people are not neurodivergent. They don't realize how that comes across. And I appreciate it. It's really funny. I'll say it on stage. It's a good bit now. And that's all her.
That's really nice. Like, shout out to that girl. That's really sweet. That's really sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of mental health and mental illness, like how do you cope with being overstimulated, being overwhelmed? Like what is you mentioned nature earlier, but like what do you do to actually be like, okay, let's get the head demons to stop?
I do. Especially like lately, this is the thing. I hadn't been exercising for a while. I need to exercise like on a daily basis. My mom, like, I don't know if she's been diagnosed. She also definitely has ADHD. Though. And we are very similar in that way where she like goes on like a big run, big bike ride, if not both of them, like almost every single day. Like she has to, like clockwork. And I think for a while I was like, I'm different, no big deal. My mom is also like a really good writer. Like she's a science journalist.
Cool.
And so many times in my life, I've had this thing where I'm like, no, I'm actually going to be quite different from my mom. I'm not going to be like her. I'm going to be different. Like she was becoming like a science journalist when I was like a teenager. So I was like, I'm actually going to be a different writer. I'm going to be like a novelist or something.
Yeah.
Don't like writing fiction. Not good at it. Only really good at writing like confessional nonfiction material. Yeah.
It could be studied by her, the scientist.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're similar to her in the sense of like you guys got some movement.
I'm like, I also do need to like exercise hard pretty much every day if I want to focus for anything more than 1 hour.
What do you usually do for exercise?
Go for a run. I do workout classes.
Really? Like Zumba? What are we talking?
F45.
Oh, yeah. F45. Okay.
Yeah, F45. And this is a thing that I keep doing that I don't know if I've said this on any media platform before. Where it's a bad habit that I have. I feel like maybe this is another ADHD thing is that I will regularly exercise for like several months and then maybe something will happen like this summer. I got like a big injury, haven't exercised for a while. And then I'll go back to a workout class or to a gym and do like an intense session. And just immediately my brain is like, let's go back to that level we were at before.
Right.
Several times in my life, I've gone into a gym and thrown up.
And then you just
throw up at the gym.
Okay, at an F45, that'd be so embarrassing because most of them, they're usually at like street level too. And so like I always walk by being like, those are the bravest people I've ever seen. Like just working out on the street corner like that.
Yeah,
like,
there are people in there were the bravest people they've ever seen. And I was in the bathroom looking white as a sheet.
You're vomiting.
Yeah. No, that happened at an F45 class like last year when I went back into it after having not done it for a while. Happened back at it's called just Fitness World. At the time it was Steve Nash Fitness World. In Vancouver.
Name drop.
I did a personal training session there.
Vomited.
And tried to do a deadlift. Tried to do I think maybe even 1-2 deadlifts. And then I was like, I feel kind of not great. I went into the washroom and I started to put myself into the recovery position on the floor of the change room.
Did your trainer come in and you're like...
Yeah, he came in and he was like, whoa. Like, and I puked and stuff. It was a real mess. It was really bad.
Oh, no.
And he was trying to be
didn't even make it in the toilet?
I can't remember. I actually cannot remember where the puke ended up. Yeah. Sorry, this is gross. But I'm only saying this because the thing that he said to me was so funny. Because he was being really nice, really kind about it. Like, he told me, like, this has happened before. Like, this is something
Yeah, no, the way he's talking to you is like if you come too quick, and she's like, it happens all the time. Like, don't worry about it. You're in the fetal position, so embarrassed, and you're like, this happened literally last week. It's fine.
It's no big deal at all, dude. He was like, yeah, it's fine. Like that's happened, you know. And then I went back for like another session, or maybe it was a few sessions in, and I asked him, I was like, you said this happened before. Like, who else has that happened to? And he goes, well, only once before has it happened, and it was to a 65-year-old cancer survivor.